Good afternoon, welcome. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Josh Schimmels, publisher and CEO of the Los Angeles Business Journal, and it's an absolute honor to host our nonprofit and corporate citizenship awards today. You know, over the last year, we've seen the impact that COVID has had on our communities, and few industries have been impacted the way that nonprofits were, with challenges in fundraising, donors in some cases having less to give, and logistical challenges in spreading the word of their missions. The nonprofit community found ways to succeed and to continue serving. We received more than 300 nominations from all types of nonprofits and impressive corporate citizens alike. Having read every single one of them personally, I can tell you that our community of business, as we like to call it here, is stronger than ever. The spirit of giving, the spirit of doing, and the spirit of helping others is alive and well. And that's what we're here to celebrate today. We're going to begin our program with a conversation on the state of nonprofits in Los Angeles. In a moment, you're going to hear from our expert panelists who have dedicated their careers, in some cases decades, to serving our LA community. Aside from the state of nonprofits, you're going to learn how you can support and get even more involved in your communities than you probably already are. I want to thank those of you who submitted questions during the registration process. It truly helps us to shape the conversation, and we are able to incorporate many of them into our Q&A. During the active discussion, we're going to be conducting live audience poll questions. So when you see them pop up on your screen, we'd love for you to respond, share your thoughts, and then we'll publish these results online next week. Immediately following our panel, we're going to be announcing our finalists and our honorees in 10 different award categories. It's never been more important to acknowledge and honor the hard work and the support that these individuals and organizations have given to our communities across the region. Our hopes are that by doing so, by doing it today online and then in our publication, we can showcase the great work that's being done and also hope to encourage more business leaders to get involved. I'd like to thank our committed support sponsors for everything that they've put into this program. We thank you not just for your support of today's event and the publications that accompany it, but for all that you're doing in the community business. So a huge thank you, heartfelt thank yous to our diamond sponsor, ZipRecruiter, our platinum sponsors, Community Build Inc., Exceptional Children's Foundation, Girl Scouts of Greater Los Angeles, Habitat for Humanity of Greater Los Angeles, J. Paul Getty, Los Angeles Regional Food Bank, Play Equity Fund, and United Way of Greater Los Angeles. Thank you all so much. A huge thanks to our many gold sponsors joining us as well. Breezy Foundation, Community Response System of South Los Angeles, Eastside Riders Bike Club, Haluna Health, International Medical Corporation, Juanita's Foods, Keenan Insurance, Los Angeles Team Mentoring, Leukemia and Lymphoma Society, Singer Luac, Skaden, ARPS, Slate, Meager and Flom, Think Together, and Vista Del Mar Child and Family Services. Thank you all so much for being a part of this and for recognizing the importance of this program. Okay, so we are going to hop right into things. We're going to get started with our panel. It's my pleasure to introduce our panelists. First off, we've got Scott Bowling, CEO and President of Exceptional Children's Foundation, Oscar Cruz, Chief Operations Officer of United Way of Greater LA, Teresa Eddie Kine, Chief Executive Officer of Girl Scouts of Greater Los Angeles, Michael Flood, Chief Executive Officer of Los Angeles Regional Food Bank, and lastly, today's moderator, Erin Rank. She's the President and CEO of Habitat for Humanity of Greater LA. Erin, thank you so much for being here. Let me hand it over to you.
Well, thank you so much, Josh, and I'm honored to be here and welcome our panelists and our audience members. Many of the nonprofits being honored today are being recognized for not only enduring the pandemic, but for successfully adjusting and doing even more to address critical community needs. As some businesses pulled back, they leaned in. So my first question is for the group. How has COVID made a lasting impact on your organization? And do you foresee it altering the way you operate in perpetuity? Oscar, I'm going to start with you.
Well, thank you, Erin, so much, and Josh. I appreciate the opportunity to be here today and be able to share some thoughts I mean, it is completely under, it just, COVID has completely transformed all of our work. And, I think at United Way, one of the first things that started to do was to, for us to see and how COVID revealed so many inequities in our, community. We started to see, as the pandemic evolved, who was infected, who was being impacted the most, who was dying out of COVID. Where were the families? Who were the families who were able to stay home and be able to stay and not go to work, and those who had to, the students who were able to access learning at home and others that didn't. So as we went through this process, it really became so clear how much it was the communities of color, low-income immigrant communities who really were experiencing the brunt of this pandemic, right? And I think that helped us for us to have to change very quickly and be able to pivot and be able to create a pandemic relief fund who really helped us to be able to bring resources to the community. We were able to raise almost $10 million that we were able to invest in things such as gloves, face masks, hand sanitizer, grants to nonprofits, literally everything that we can do to be able to help these families stay afloat. So it was incredible how we had to pivot. Internally, we did it as well. We had to pivot as a workforce. We've been working at home since March 13. I've probably seen some of my staff only a couple of times in the last, before we went into COVID environment, working from home. But, I think internally we've had to work a lot to be able to give our staff some support because they're dealing with also the consequences of COVID while still doing the job. So for us, it really transformed the way we think about meeting the need now and also how we are able to support our staff internally.
Thank you, Oscar. That is so important. And I know many organizations benefited from your support. So thank you. Teresa, I'd like to go to you next.
Thanks, Jen. So about a year ago, we moved all of our programming to the virtual space. And what happened there was it allowed access for many girls to pursue programs they might not have thought of otherwise. It also gave us access to subject matter experts and female professionals that were mentoring girls that might not have had an opportunity to do that as well in person. So it really broadened the world for these girls. In addition, it brought Girl Scouts into these girls' homes where their families could see what they actually did in Girl Scouts. They are working on robotics or STEM, entrepreneurship, talking about what does gender equity mean. And families are becoming aware and more engaged. So we not only have Girl Scouts, but we have Girl Scout families. So I think this idea of a hybrid model, virtual space and in-person meetings is going to stick for us.
So critical, Teresa. I know that so much of your work is in person and hands-on. I'm sure it was a huge adjustment, but it sounds like you guys did it very successfully. Michael, the LA Regional Food Bank. Let's talk about how COVID made a lasting impact on your organization and how you might find that silver lining that may alter the way you operate in the future.
Thanks, Erin, and thanks to the LA Business Journal for the invite to serve on the panel with the other panelists. I think for all of us, this has really been just an incredible time to live through. For us, we were hoping that we were nimble going into this and hoping that we could expand volume significantly. And we feel pretty good that we've been able to stretch as far as we can in working with 700 partner agencies throughout Los Angeles County and reach as many people as possible. I mean, just the change overnight when we think back a year ago of unemployment going from 4 to 21% in a matter of weeks just led to so many new people seeking food assistance and needing help. So we had to transition significantly in terms of, drive-through distributions and home delivery to older adults, and working with school districts to get food out through the grab-and-go meal distributions, getting more food out to our agency partners. It really, really transformed our work significantly. And I think there are definitely a number of lasting impacts as we think about, moving to what I guess is a new phase. And, the food bank works in partnership with so many other organizations and food donors and volunteer groups. Of course, financial support is important, in-kind support. And I think the opportunity that the pandemic has for the food bank and many of us is it's led to new partnerships. We've seen government step forward more forcefully, especially at the local level. For us, especially looking at the County of Los Angeles, but also many cities throughout Los Angeles County, and many others. And I think that is perhaps a lasting, a positive impact that through this really challenging time, it's pushed many of us to work even more closely together, think about how we can partner with the business community, corporations, government, and of course the nonprofit sector to do more. And I know that's not unique to the food bank. I know it's shared with many of the other panelists and many other nonprofits that are part of this. And I think that's our challenge in terms of how can we take this incredibly traumatic event and leverage it to improve service.
Thank you so much, Michael. I know that you've done a tremendous job making that change and that pivot when overnight, as you said, people needed your services more than ever. Scott, you've been leading your organization for, I think, over 2 decades, as I have, and yet last year was the biggest leadership challenge I think I've ever faced as a leader. Talk to me a little bit about the Exceptional Children's Foundation and how this pandemic will affect you in the future.
Thank you, Erin. I want to start by really thanking Josh and the Los Angeles Business Journal for shining this very bright spotlight on the nonprofit community. We are all in this together. And it is a pleasure to really serve on this panel with so many esteemed colleagues, many of whom I have respected for a very long time. The COVID pandemic has made
I'm going to stop you for 1 second if you can lean in, just seeing your background, not you. And it's hopefully.
Is that better?
That's wonderful. Thank
oh
you.
My gosh. Okay. So I don't need to repeat what I just said though, right?
No, we heard you.
Okay. Well, it is clear COVID has made a universal impact on communities and businesses around the world, both positive and less positive, short and long term. And locally, and I guess more specifically at ECF, I see the lasting impact being most visible in the use of technology to expand our service reach far beyond the regional boundaries of traditional past. I see the repurposing of real estate and how we can safely share physical space with one another. And I think a heightened awareness with practices to follow, of course, of the importance of all of us setting aside our differences to work together. Like it or not, we're all interconnected and we have a responsibility to look out for one another and future generations. And the practices of our exceptional organization, as they have for 75 years, will reflect that all going forward.
Thank you so much, Scott. And we appreciate the work of your foundation and the lessons that we can learn from what you've done in order to build a stronger organization during the pandemic. Next question for Oscar. Obviously, heavy on our minds throughout this pandemic, and especially this week, is the conversation regarding racial justice. How has the work of the United Way of Greater Los Angeles evolved in light of this conversation?
Thank you, Erin, and thank you for the question, because it's in the mind of all of us. I think, we're living in transformational times right now, and one of the biggest transformations, and this is what my our CEO, Ellie Buick, says regularly, we are going through one of the biggest transformations of United Way in our history. And, and I don't think we continue to focus on the same mission. We're trying to break cycles of poverty, and we're trying to address that through education, through economic mobility, housing, homelessness. But I think what we were lacking was that we were not talking about race and how race connects to those areas, right? And I think that when we reflect, we know that race has a huge, significant impact in both of those three areas that we work with. When we look at our homeless community, the African American are disproportionately represented there. If we're looking at who is making it prepared to go to college from our public schools, we know our Latino and African American students are not there yet. Even when we look at medium net worth of households, again, we continue to see that Latino and African American households are not on par with their white household counterparts, right? So for us, what it's become is the question of can we truly be able to break cycles of poverty without talking about race? So this is a journey that we talk internally with our leadership team constantly and saying we need to be able to connect the dots between those two conversations for us to be more impactful about our mission. And we're doing it in two ways, I think, both externally and internally. Externally, we're having to revisit the way we partner. Who do we partner with? How do we give our grants, and how do we are ensuring resources are going to more leaders of color in the communities that are closest to the problems, right? We're trying to be more nimble to be able to make it easier for them to access those resources. We're looking at also systems change and knowing that while we have to meet the need currently in the moment, these problems are complex and long-term, and we need to find long-term solutions to that. And internally, we're trying to walk the walk. Our leadership team keeps on talking about we need to walk the walk around racial equity and racial justice, and we're reflecting on how do we have the conversation with the board, with our staff. We're doing training with all of our staff, all of our board members, and how are we able to support leaders of color who are coming through the nonprofit field. So this is an area that it really excites me because as I'm talking to corporate partners, we have so many of them that are going through the same journey with us, and they're coming to us and saying, we want to go through that journey with you because not only because I think that, traditionally you would say maybe if their staff is asking for it or their customers, but these are leaders in the corporate sector that say this is the right thing to do. So I'm really excited because this is creating opportunity to work better together and be able to ensure LA County, we are able to close those equity gaps in our community.
Thank you, Oscar. That's tremendously innovative work that you're doing, and we really appreciate your work in this area and you sharing that with us. Teresa, tell us a little bit about what disparities exist for girls in Los Angeles and how they might be exacerbated for some after the pandemic.
Yeah, so girls in greater Los Angeles are facing enormous challenges. 60% of our girl market are in low-income communities, and the pandemic has exacerbated already challenging circumstances. We're looking at learning loss, feelings of isolation, just emotional wellness is an issue. And so Girl Scouts, we are providing safe places for girls to explore those feelings. And we've also recently begun a series of panels for adults, for parents, and anyone who cares for youth to learn how to deal with some of the deep, emotional challenges that kids are facing, especially girls. And so this has become more of a focus for us, and we're beginning to integrate emotional well-being and mental health through all of our programming to more holistically attend to the needs of girls.
Thank you, Teresa. It's so important that you include adults. As a parent of 3 teenagers who's been homeschooling for a year, I think it's a really important conversations for adults to have to surround our kids with the support that they need.
Yeah, we parents need support for sure.
All right, staying with the pandemic here, Michael, talk about food insecurity in LA County. What did it look like before the pandemic, and what will it look like in the future?
Well, food insecurity before the pandemic looked like one in five residents struggling to meet their food needs on a consistent basis, with that being a bit higher for children and certainly older adults also struggling. So that, we're the most populous county in the United States with 10 million residents in Los Angeles County. So when you're dealing with that percent of the population struggling to feed themselves, that creates some challenges right away. I think the other panelists touched on some of the issues. Housing is a significant issue locally, and how many households are rent burdened in terms of dealing with trying to make all their ends meet. Of course, poverty, issues affecting communities of color, and many other issues that I think have been highlighted by some of the other panelists. And again, as I mentioned earlier, the pandemic added a huge new layer of people who were new to need, never seeking food assistance in their lives before. At the height last year, we estimated about 40% of those coming through some of the distributions we were talking about earlier had never sought food assistance from a charity before. So we're unsure what things look like, in the future. We do know those communities that were disproportionately struggling prior to the pandemic are likely going to be in worse shape as we move through this. They're in worse shape today, and unfortunately, they're likely going to be the communities that recover last. So we're looking at that in terms of, LA County is a big geographic area, a lot of people to serve. As I mentioned earlier, it's through partnership. We're not doing this alone. We're working with many organizations, agencies, and others to do this work. But I think that will be something of a concern for all of us as we continue to see the economy improve over the next number of months.
Thank you, Michael. I know at Habitat for Humanity, we got to see your wonderful work up close and personal when we repurposed all of our trucks to help you deliver, because you were struggling with the lack of volunteers as we were during the pandemic, and our team got a real blessing out of being able to deliver meals to folks who are in their homes. So thank you for that.
Absolutely. Thank you for that support, Erin.
Okay, and Scott, as we come together for the awards ceremony today, we're recognizing the work of nonprofits and the impact of for-profit leaders in them as a collaborative effort. So Scott, what is the role of community and business partnerships in the advancement of your work at the Exceptional Children's Foundation? You may be muted, Scott. Could you check?
So I knew it would be me that did that, by the way. Are we good?
Yeah.
In a word, Erin, partnerships offer synergy. I often share with my staff that the days of nonprofit businesses being framed as just feel good and do good charities is fading fast. I believe that more than ever, nonprofits offer services, perspective, and value propositions that businesses and communities are experiencing. Just look no further than this panel to see the incredible missions that are advanced throughout the organization, throughout the city of Los Angeles. At ECF, we partner with businesses from Microsoft to the Los Angeles Rams, Stone Candles to schools and colleges, Kingsbury uniforms and museums and galleries. And each of these partnerships add a learning or workforce dimension that wouldn't easily exist, if at all, without us. It's fun to be a part of the change that's to come. It isn't always easy, but the value is undeniable.
It absolutely is. Thank you. Thank you so much, Scott. Teresa, as an organization that focuses so much on social activities, I have another parent question for you. What are some of the ongoing obstacles that parents can face when getting their kids involved in meaningful extracurricular activities? And how is it different in today's environment?
Yeah, well, in today's environment, it's been an extraordinarily challenging time for families in Los Angeles, and some extracurriculars may just be out of reach, sports and whatnot. And so at Girl Scouts, we spend a good share of our fundraising efforts to provide scholarships to families for girls who want to either become Girl Scouts or remain in Girl Scouts. Girl Scouts has a $25 a year membership fee. But the ROI on membership at Girl Scouts is pretty extraordinary. We recently received a comprehensive study about Girl Scout alums versus non-Girl Scouts, and it told us that 84% of Girl Scout alums are more likely to hold leadership roles. 79% are more likely to become active in their communities. And 88% of girls who attain their gold award, which is our highest award that girls can earn, are most likely to complete college. And those girls go out into the world and make the change that they want to see, and probably work at many of the organizations of my fellow panelists here.
Thank you, Teresa. The next question is for both Oscar and Michael, and it's the crystal ball question that we all think about as nonprofit leaders. What are the greatest challenges you foresee short and long term that will impact nonprofits in Los Angeles? Oscar, let's start with you, and then we'll turn it to Michael.
Thank you, Erin. And, I think this is a short-term and long-term answer at the same time. The financial sustainability of nonprofits, how to remain nimble. We saw that nonprofits meet that need of being able to pivot and change and be able to do that. And to do that, it requires, flexible revenue and sources of revenue that allow nonprofits to do that. So I think that's something I'm keeping my eye on very closely, is how we're going to be able to help nonprofits survive and weather the storm right now.
Great, I'll go next. Thank you, Oscar. And just building on your comment, I think the one theme I would mention is resources. And often, when we talk about resources, we may think we're thinking about financial support, but that's only one type of resource that nonprofits need. I noticed we're over 450 plus people on this, and a lot of people who are probably doing well in terms of in their business and the like. And we all need your help. We all need your support at the board level, in-kind support. The nonprofit community, many are doing this on a shoestring, have very limited resources to try to pull off what is tremendous work in helping the community across many issues. So, having that type of support, the in-kind support that can come into play in terms of services, at times it's goods, obviously for the food bank, it's food. All those things are really important. The food bank, since the pandemic hit, we hit some milestones in the last week where we've reached 200 million pounds distributed, the equivalent of 170 million meals out to the communities of Los Angeles County. And the dollar value of that food is over $300 million worth of food and some non-food, but it's primarily food being distributed. And those are big numbers, but those numbers occur because of the support and the partnerships that come into play. The one other thing I'd mention is, or two just real quick, is just one around innovation. Again, another opportunity that I think some of the panelists have spoken to already, that for many of us in thinking of, again, at times virtual environment or just thinking in new ways, whereas we can all really utilize the support from many of you in the business and corporate community. And we've also seen a lot of repurposing of facilities. I mean, we've been at the Hollywood Bowl and the Forum and SoFi Stadium and, universities, all sorts of places. So I think, again, it's sort of thinking a little bit outside the normal pre-pandemic box of how things operate, So I think there's some opportunities there too. But all those things, nonprofits across the board need those resources. They can take the form of in many manners, and they can have a tremendous impact on local communities.
Thank you, Michael. And I underscore, and Oscar as well, both of your comments about resources and what it takes to, continue to grow our impact moving forward. And Michael, those numbers are just mind-boggling to think about all the logistics that it takes to move that food from donors to the families that need it. So thank you. All right, Scott, how has working remotely impacted your mission delivery and staying connected with your volunteers and donors?
Well, throughout the pandemic, our mission and delivery was seamless and uninterrupted, and our service outcomes truly exceptional by all objective measurements. However, I believe the less visible impact of our pivot from direct on-site services to remote services is frankly yet to be fully recognized. The roads paved by COVID have been hard to navigate, hard on our staff, hard on over the 5,000 children, families, and adults served throughout Los Angeles County. And for instance, there are our children, birth to 3, have critical windows of learning opportunities that open and shut during the first 3 years of their life. The impact of our physical absence, even if it was only for a short period of time, will have profound effects. We used precious weeks converting to the digital and remote services. And unfortunately, I believe, although we did our best, some of our children may never fully catch up from that break in their development. I can share with great assurance in our 75th year at ECF, we'll be there for them going forward too. Similarly, although we will have 15 graduates from our K-12 non-public King Aris school in this June, the social and emotional impact of this last year may create challenges that really are not clearly visible right now. The demand for our lifespan services is as great or greater, frankly, than ever. And you asked me to touch briefly on our volunteers and donors, and I will try not to get emotional. But thankfully, we updated our websites and went to an active digital communication infrastructure years ago, so that communication with the outside community continued without a glitch during this pandemic. It is clear our families and donors and volunteers were tuned in. From a guy who likes a lot of words, I can tell you that there aren't enough of them to sufficiently acknowledge our board of directors and our donors and volunteers throughout this pandemic. Many reached deep into their pockets to respond to our urgent communications of need for funds and computer upgrades for staff and clients. Some ECF volunteers, like our awesome Los Angeles Business Journal nominee, Kristen Garamani, not only devoted countless days and months to echo the merits of our exceptional mission to their respective networks, but also participated or hosted events virtually and in safe outdoor environments to make sure that the financial goals of ECF were met. And because of so many people who care, our network of support continued to grow and expand in 2020, echoing the merits of our mission. And we are very, very grateful to them.
I think we can all relate to the generosity and the comments that you refer to when it comes to your donors and volunteers. We all get a little bit emotional when we think about their generosity. All right, we are down to our last question. We just have 2 minutes left, and I know we all want to get to our awardees announcements. So I'm just going to ask you to do this one rapid fire. I'm going to give each of you a chance to answer this question. And the question is, what can people in our community do to learn more and support nonprofits in the Los Angeles community? Let's try and keep it to about 30 seconds apiece, starting with you, Teresa.
Okay, so well, we encourage everyone to get involved and support girl leadership in Los Angeles, but it's a little bit of what everyone said. We need your time, talent, and treasure to continue to grow girls into the leaders and make the world a better place.
Fantastic. And Michael?
Yeah, I would, to learn about, again, hunger and food insecurity, a lot of information. I know our website is up there, lafoodbank.org. And you can learn about, again, the 700 agency partners throughout Los Angeles County doing tremendous and heroic work in their local communities. And you can find, those who are receiving food assistance. Our team's done a great job of helping tell the story of the many families and individuals who've been struggling over this last year. So that's a good place to go to learn a lot about not just the specific work of our organization, but the network we're involved in.
Thank you for highlighting that, Michael. Oscar, let's turn to you.
An advice I always give is it's got to start from something that the organization or the individual cares about. Being able to identify what you're passionate about and where you want to contribute really helps to then find those partnership opportunities with any of the nonprofits. And as it relates to United Way, feel free to contact me directly. If I'm not myself, I can put in contact with the right person. Come to our website and sign up to our newsletter. We are curating conversations with nonprofits and partners that are doing work, so you can learn about what kind of work we're doing in the community by United Way in either education, economic mobility, housing, homelessness. So it's really an invitation, but I always start by saying this is going to take more, like I think Scott mentioned, that more than just resources, financial resources. It's going to take time, it's going to take effort. So it's got to start from a place where you're passionate about and that you know that you're going to go above and beyond.
Thank you, Oscar. And Scott?
More of what everybody's been saying, but really it starts with understanding just how powerfully impactful a dollar or a volunteer hour can be on the mission of any of our organizations, on a child or a family or adult's future. I'd also say, once clear on your respective passions, find the organization whose mission best connects to it, and then contact and engage with that organization. And just realize our interconnectedness to one another. We're all in this together. Boy, COVID certainly taught us all that. And there's just so many organizations to choose from and to partner with. Choose one of us.
Well, thank you, Scott. And I would like to thank all of our panelists today for joining us and participating in the panel. I think the most important thing we have in our work, whether we work for nonprofits or for-profit organizations, is our collective network. So thank you again for participating today. And Josh, I'll turn it back to you.
Thank you so much. How about a virtual round of applause and just our deep appreciation for all of our panelists. Thank you, Scott, Oscar, Teresa, Michael, and Aaron, just for hosting this conversation. And I really appreciate it. Michael, you mentioned how important and how vital it is to have that corporate support, and whether it's in-kind support, whether it's help fundraising, whether it's commitment to being on a board or a committee. So many of us in the business community can take our strategies and what we've learned in business and apply them to helping the nonprofit world as well. Scott, you mentioned, passion. You're right, pick your passion. I'd like to actually create a call to action today to all the business leaders out there watching and tuning in. You're going to see and hear from so many nonprofits today that represent all types of work and missions. So whatever your passion is, mine is here. I wear it. This is my my support and my involvement with the cancer community. Whatever your passion is, that's my passion. What's yours? Whether it's helping the homeless, whether it's working with those who are sick, whether it's supporting the arts or supporting education or helping those in need of sometimes just simple life pick-me-ups. Follow your passion, get involved. There are nonprofits out there who need your help and are also so appreciative of the support that you can give. Their missions absolutely depend on it. And I do believe it's up to the business community to find ways to make a difference. Okay. So with that, it is my pleasure to take a look at some of the best, the most impressive, and the most impactful businesses, nonprofits, and leaders who are paving the way, doing all the things that we just talked about. So ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce you to the class of 2021 Nonprofit and Corporate Citizenship Award nominees. We're going to play a little quick video so you can see all of them, all 300 of them. I want to give recognition to. So get your screenshots ready, get your cameras ready so that you can take a picture of it and post it, and let's go social together. Here we go. Well, congratulations to all of our nominees. I think it's pretty clear that in just looking at the pure number of individuals who are making a difference, and then the nonprofit organizations and the for-profit companies that are involved in our community, that we've got something really special to be proud of here in Los Angeles. So many people and businesses, organizations making a difference. So it's our honor to now go right into our awards. We've got 10 award categories. We're going to first announce finalists in each category and then winners. We're going to be doing 4 individual awards and then 6 organizational awards. I'd like to introduce from our diamond sponsor, Renata Dianello. She's the Chief People Officer with ZipRecruiter. She's going to be helping me with the program today. Renata, welcome.
Hi, Josh.
So let's have you go ahead and get started with our first award.
Okay. Well, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Renata Dianello, and it is my pleasure to present this year's Los Angeles Business Journal Nonprofit and Corporate Citizenship Awards on behalf of ZipRecruiter. As ZipRecruiter, our mission is to actively connect people to their next great opportunity. And we do that by running an online marketplace that provides technology-enabled services to connect job seekers and employers of all sizes. We are also proud voices of nonprofit organizations that do amazing work in our communities to ensure that all people have access to opportunity. ZipRecruiter is honored to support these awards, which celebrate socially innovative projects that improve the quality of life across our communities. So let's get started. The first category is going to be for Volunteer of the Year. And our finalists are Lorraine Alderetti, President of RNY Construction and Specialties. She's on the board of directors of Homemade LA Ventura and has been rescuing homeless dogs for the last 10 years with the rescue train. We also have Martin Cooper, President of Cooper Communications. He is executive committee member with the West Valley Boys and Girls Club and has been honored by the US Congress, California State Senate and Assembly, and City of LA for his volunteer activities. Next, we've got Becky Mancuso Winding, executive director at UCLA Health. She served on the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society's executive leadership committee for their Light the Night fundraiser and raised more than $148,000. Next, we've got Tim Poidenis, partner with Goodwin Procter. Tim has worked with pro bono law firms to spearhead Goodwin's focus on helping LA County's childcare service providers who are struggling from the pandemic. And lastly, we've got Camille Terry, Los Angeles Chapter Chair for Women in Clean Tech and Sustainability. She's creating equitable pathways in the clean tech industry for LA's women in underserved communities and women of color. Okay, so congratulations to our honoree. The honoree is Tim Poidenis, partner with Goodwin Procter. Tim is with us today. Tim, please unmute yourself and say a few words.
For sure. Thank you very much. I appreciate the award. This year has definitely been a weird and difficult one for many folks as of COVID. But I'm just absolutely honored and humbled to receive this award. I'm fortunate enough over here at Goodwin to be in a position to help out and help all these child care providers get back into somewhat of a normal life and help them ease that transition back into bringing children back into the schools. Obviously, this wouldn't have been possible without all the help from my amazing colleagues over here at Goodwin, but also most importantly, my better half at home, Catherine. She put up with me working long days and late nights. So much appreciated to everyone that's given me all the help. So thanks very much for the award. Much appreciated.
Thank you and congratulations, Tim. All right, our next category is going to be for Nonprofit Executive of the Year. Our finalists are Todd Bagaman, founder and chairman of The Giving Spirit. For 21 years, he's led the organization through its continued growth and service to the homeless in Greater Los Angeles. Randy Barth, CEO and founder of Think Together. Randy is an education equity warrior committed to ensuring that all students have access to a quality education and after-school programs in Los Angeles. Julie Fleshman, president and CEO of Pancreatic Cancer Action Network. Under Julie's Julie's leadership over the past 20 years, PanCan has grown to have an annual budget of over $40 million and over 150 employees. Manjusha Kalkarni, Executive Director of Asian Pacific Policy and Planning Council. Along with educating the LA community, she has worked directly with the Biden transition team on how to combat Asian racism and discrimination. Betty Lamar, founder of Empower Her Institute. She and her team have helped over 4,000 Black and Latinx teen girls in marginalized communities throughout LA County to be college and career ready. And our honoree is Julie Fleshman, President and CEO of Pancreatic Cancer Action Network. Julie, we invite you to unmute and say a few words.
Wow, well, thank you so much. I'm really honored to receive this award. Thank you to the LA Business Journal. And I also just want to say congratulations to all of my fellow nominees. I think it's really especially meaningful to be recognized right now after this very difficult and challenging years, especially as a nonprofit executive. So it's my pleasure every day to represent pancreatic cancer patients and their families. Pancreatic cancer is one of the toughest cancers. The 5-year survival rate is just 10%. And my experience with pancreatic cancer began about 22 years ago when my own dad was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer. He was 52 years old. He died 4 months after his diagnosis. And that was just an unacceptable situation to me. And luckily for me, I joined PanCan at that time as the first employee. And so for 21 years now, I've been passionate about creating a movement and really driving change for pancreatic cancer patients. And, you know, as I reflect back on the last year, despite all of the challenges, we never had any, there was no disruption in our services, and we were able to launch 2 critical research initiatives that we had been working on for several years leading up to 2020. One that is focused on accelerating new treatment options for patients, and one that's focused on creating an early detection strategy for pancreatic cancer. So, you know, despite all of the heartache this last year, I also saw so much good in so many people and companies that wanted to step up and help. And so I'm very grateful to our volunteers and donors and corporate partners, our patients and the families, and of course, our incredible PanCan staff that helps to make all of this successful. So, I think adversity makes us stronger. It also helps us to prioritize and focus what's most important. And what worked yesterday is not necessarily going to work tomorrow. So I really look forward to what lies ahead and taking all of these learnings from this last year, learning from my colleagues, and ensuring that PanCan can continue to accelerate the rate of progress for pancreatic cancer patients. So thank you so much for this tremendous honor.
Well, congrats, Julie. Next, we're going to move into the Outstanding Philanthropist of the Year. And the finalists are Edna Alvarez, Team Edna, lead and kitchen cabinet committee member for Food Forward. Her efforts provided over 1 million pounds of fresh fruit and vegetables for those experiencing food insecurity. Then we've got Jodie Evans, board president of 826 LA. She started the after-school writing program in her home. Now the organization is serving over 90,000 youth. Chris Lawler, president of the Cherise Marie Lawler Foundation. In February, Miller Children's and Women's Hospital in Long Beach opened the Cherise Marie Lawler Children's Village, a one-stop shop approach to outpatient specialty care for children. Art Lewin is our next nominee. He is the CEO of Art Lewin Bespoke. Over the past 10 years, he has donated over $1 million to the Salvation Army and other nonprofits in the LA area. And next nominee is Alex Meruelo, founder of the Meruelo Group. He and his wife have donated over $50 million to local beneficiaries of LA's Latino Hispanic communities. And our honoree is Chris Lawler. Chris, please click on mute and you're welcome to say a few words.
Okay, am I there? Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, Chris.
Oh, okay. Well, first of all, I just wanted to say thank you so very much. My husband, Larry, and I feel so honored to be chosen for this award from the Los Angeles Business Journal. It really is all about our beloved daughter, Charisse, and how we started her foundation. She was in a tragic bus accident in India in 1996. She was 21 years old. And just looking back from childhood, she always wanted to make a difference. She always wanted to help children, animals. And so for us, we knew this is what we had to do to carry out her hopes and dreams. And the Charisse Marie Lawler Children's Village is, I'm actually still speechless. It's so incredible, the amount of children that will go through there each year and have all the specialty doctors in one spot. She also has the Charisse Marie Lawler Childbirth Center, the Imaging Center, and the Pediatric Intensive Care Unit. And she's also very much at CHOC, Children's Hospital of Orange County, and many, many other areas that we believe Charisse would say, yes, that's what I would choose. So we hope for it to just go on as long as possible and continue for people to know who Charisse is and her gifts that she gives to help so many children.
Well, thank you. Thank you, Chris. What a beautiful story and the impact that you and your husband are able to make in her name. So congratulations. Thanks for being here today.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate this.
Thank you. All right. Well, our final individual award category is for Business Angel of the Year. First up, finalist, Elizabeth Furrow, Creative Director and CEO of LA Loop. She has collaborated with nonprofits to collect technology donations for at-home schooling, feeding families in need, and assisting with PPE shortages. Next, we have Kafir Gavrieli, founder and CEO of Teeks. They reoriented their manufacturing facility into a mask making assembly line, which were then donated to local frontline health workers. Rebecca Rothstein, chairman of the board and founder for Teen Cancer America. She has positively enriched the lives of thousands of Angelino teenagers battling cancer and has established 42 hospital partners across 19 different states. Wendy Spinner, private wealth advisor, endowment and foundation consultant for UBS Private Wealth Management. She has helped thousands of first-generation collegiate students develop the skills needed to successfully make the college to career transition. Next up, Danella Wilson, partner and nonprofit practice leader for GHJ and president and chief philanthropy officer for GHJ Foundation. She's also a board member for Downtown Women's Center, where she helps women transition out of homelessness. And today's honoree is Rebecca Rothstein with Teen Cancer America. Rebecca, please join us, unmute, and say a few words.
Thank you so much. Am I okay? Can you see me?
Yes, you're perfect. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm overwhelmed and I can't thank you enough. And I also want to say that my dear friend and one of my first board members, Becky Mancusa Winding, was also nominated for this organization today. And I'm so proud of her and I'm so proud of everything that we've accomplished. And you're right what you said, we have touched the lives of thousands of teenagers across America since we founded this organization in 2012. And from 2012 until today, we have, I can't even imagine how overwhelmingly I'm shaken by this honor. We have made so much progress. When you see these kids with these diseases, many of them are not going to live outside of their teenage years. And the small amount of help that we can provide, and the board that I have put together, and they have all stayed with us. We haven't lost a single board member, and we have raised millions of dollars. And we're just incredibly grateful, and thank you so much for this honor.
Congratulations, Rebecca, and congratulations on the amazing work that you do. Our next category is the Outstanding Social Responsibility of the Year category. And our finalists are Keenan Insurance. Their fundraising efforts resulted in 50,000 meals distributed through Feeding Children Everywhere and the Association of California School Administrators. Then we've got Kirkland and Ellis. Their pro bono work focuses on diverse populations impacted by education inequalities, homelessness, domestic violence, and immigration rights. MGA Entertainment. They launched MGA Cares, where they donated $5 million to distribute 750,000 PPE devices to 350 hospitals across the country. Panda Cares Foundation. The philanthropic arm of Panda Restaurant Group donated 400,000 pieces of PPE and fed 8,000 LA healthcare workers and children in need. Unibail Rodamco Westfield. They engaged with over 85 charitable organizations this year and provided 15 COVID-19 testing centers and blood drive locations. And the honoree is Kirkland and Ellis. Here to accept is partner Monica Schilling. Please take yourself off mute and we invite you to say a few words.
Hi, everybody. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, Monica.
Okay. It's great to be with you all today. I really look forward to a time where we can all connect in person. Really, really pleased to accept this honor on Kirkland's behalf. We thank the LABJ for this, and I want to congratulate all of my fellow nominees, all of our fellow nominees. It's really meaningful for us to get this award. We're passionate about our pro bono projects and our community support. Lawyers in our downtown and Century City offices dedicate significant hours to a large variety of pro bono cases. Just to name a quick few, we represent diverse parents in pursuit of educational equality for their children in LA Unified. We've brought a number of actions that have had an impact on the way our local governments deal with the homeless. We represent members of the LGBT community seeking asylum. We support the 1736 Family Crisis Center, which provides a safe haven for those suffering from domestic violence, sexual assault, homelessness, job loss, poverty, and human trafficking. And we also provide financial support of Big Brothers Big Sisters and the Alliance College Ready Public Schools Foundation as part of K&E's larger $5 million commitment to support organizations focused on ending racism, achieving inclusion, and advancing social justice. We really appreciate this award and we look forward to continuing to serve the LA community. Thanks.
Well, congratulations, Monica, and to the entire team over at Kirkland and Ellis. Keep up the great work. Our next category is for most innovative awareness campaign. I'll tell you, this one was really fascinating to read, to go through the nominations and to see how companies are changing the way their approaches. I think we heard earlier, what works today doesn't necessarily translate to working tomorrow. And so innovation comes into place. Our finalists in this category are Ultimate Health Services with their My Vote, My Health campaign. They reached out to patients, family, and peers to register voters, provide bilingual, nonpartisan electoral education, and offer ballot collection. Play Equity Fund with their Stay Active, Stay Strong program, which brought together businesses, school districts, pro athletes, and foundations to drive healthful activity and wellness for children across Los Angeles. Union Station Homeless Services with their Changing the Narrative quarterly webinar series that create an opportunity to connect and engage with people who have formerly experienced homelessness. Vista Del Mar Child and Family Services with their Jackie's Story campaign that focused on mental health awareness for the underserved trauma-affected children and to help them find healing at home. VoteAsIf.org. The organization's goal was for everyone's voices to be heard in the 2020 election. The 4-month nonpartisan initiative generated over $2 million in pro bono media space. And our honoree for most innovative campaign goes to Play Equity Fund, president of Play Equity Fund and president and CEO of LA84 Foundation, Renata Simriel. She's here with us today. Renata, please take yourself off mute and say a few words, and congratulations.
No, thank you, Josh. Thank you to you and the LA Business Journal for bringing this this event, this recognition, back to the fold. I'm both inspired by this tremendous organizations that you're recognizing today and the great work that they do in communities, and certainly humble to be included at the minimum, but certainly being recognized for our campaign. The L84 Foundation established the Play Equity Fund about 6 years ago, really to focus on how we can use sport to continue to bring communities together. And the Play Equity Fund is the only nonprofit focused on play as a social justice issue. And this campaign was about how can we react to the moment where kids were socially isolated and distance learning in home confinement. And it was a moment with my 13-year-old son, and being able to go to the garage and get play equipment and balls and the table tennis and keep him active and keep him strong, isolated from his friends. And that was a moment of inspiration. I said, hey, let me call on my friends at LAUSD. Let me call my friends at Nike and Dick's Sporting Goods and Cole Imports and see if we can't pivot in this moment and get play equipment in the hands of kids and families who need it most. And then we called on some of our athlete friends to do videos to show kids what they can do in small spaces with a tennis ball and with some shoes and with a basketball or a soccer ball, and inspire them to stay active and stay strong. And I'm so humbled that our board was able to be, flexible and pivot and meet the moment. And I'm proud that we were able to get 120,000 pieces of play equipment across 60 sites, 5 counties, to those communities who need it most. But Josh, to your point about being acknowledged for this awareness campaign, we call play equity a crisis hiding in plain sight. So this campaign was also about using the platform of our teams and our partners to raise awareness of the important role that sport and play has to our physical and mental health, our connections to academics, but more importantly, to highlight the fact that not all kids have equal access. And I think that it demonstrates the power of coming together in collaboration to really focus on having impact in a very small way. So thank you on behalf of the board, our partners, those who contributed small amounts, large amounts, and to my team for executing on a campaign that had impact in the communities that we serve. And I'll just leave the audience with one final note, is that as we emerge from COVID-19 and start to go back to school, we're celebrating that moment. But this acknowledgement, this recognition is really reigniting our commitment to make sure we're meeting kids where they are and letting them reconnect with themselves, their friends, their teammates through play and sport. There's a lot of work to do. So we're going to take this moment, as I said, and celebrate. Thank you, but we're going to recommit ourselves to making sure that we meet kids where they are through the spring and summer months to make sure that they have the opportunity to engage in the transformational power of sport and just have a little bit of fun. So thank you. We're honored.
Wow, congratulations, Renata. That sounds incredible. All right, the next award is for Fundraising Event of the Year. And the finalists are the Alzheimer's Association California Southland Chapter. They hosted more than 4,200 participants in the 2020 Walk to End Alzheimer's, which raised more than $1.3 million. The next nominee is Habitat for Humanity of Greater Los Angeles. They hosted their annual Los Angeles Builders Ball. Despite being virtual, this was their highest netting gala in the organization's history, raising a total of nearly $700,000. Next one is the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society. They hosted their Light the Night event, which raised over $1.3 million, surpassing their goal. The fundraising supports cutting-edge research and provides patient services and advocacy. International Medical Corporation increased their annual award celebration attendance by over 11% and raised just over $1 million to support their humanitarian efforts. RW Quarantunes, the LA Dodgers Foundation, partnered with LA Regional Food Bank for a Quarantunes event that raised more than $1 million alongside amazing performances, Dodgers players auctioned off World Series championship rings. And the honoree for this category is the Quarantunes event. Here to tell us more are founders and father-daughter duo, Richard and Demi Whites. Richard and Demi, you want to say a few words?
We do. Thank you. Hi, everybody. I'm so excited that we've had this opportunity to thank you and to be nominated and to win. Yes, we created this show. Demi, you there?
I'm here. My dad and I are in different locations right now.
I just want to say, so well, look, I just want to start off by saying how honored we are to receive this award. I mean, the recognition by the Los Angeles Business Journal, it's incredible. When the pandemic started last March, we could have never imagined how our lives would have changed. But honestly, truly, how many lives we would change and continue to do so. It's been incredible.
Yeah, what started as my 17th birthday party has definitely transformed into one of the best philanthropic endeavors that I could have ever imagined in my life. It started off with just entertaining people in their homes and trying to bring joy to others. And I said one day to my dad that we should try and raise $10,000. And as a young female right now, I really didn't understand any of my capabilities or what my dad and I could do together. And I'm really happy to announce that exactly a year later, we have raised over $23 million and are so proud to say that we've helped raise over $12 million for Los Angeles organizations, ranging from COVID-related charities to social justice, homelessness, mental health, foster care, mentorship, food insecurity, helping underserved communities at a time where it was most critical and needed. And I want to mention some of the amazing organizations we've highlighted, which would be the Saban Community Clinic, Cedars-Sinai, United Way, Ola Heart of Los Angeles, Holyrod, Make-A-Wish, Alliance for Children's Rights, and Heartbeats. So it's been an incredible time, and we are so humbled and honored to receive this award. Dad, do you have anything else?
Yeah, I mean, one reason why this award is meaningful to us is because we were nominated by one of the many great Los Angeles organizations that we help. And I love seeing and hearing their name mentioned, and that's Big Brother, Big Sister. What makes all of this hit home isn't actually these awards, it's the immediate impact we've been able to make for each organization. As an example, going to Big Brother, Big Sister, last June, the LA chapter was in danger of shuttering due to the pandemic. Like so many of you probably on here, every dollar counts. So we wound up doing a quarantines in June, then we did another one and we raised over $1 million plus. And we were so proud to have been a small part in making such, an amazing organization continue to not be interrupted. And so I joined the board, which is incredible. The organization incredible. And I want to thank Nicole Ring for everything that you do and Sherry Lansing and Brock Mosley there, but also for nominating us. But truthfully, I didn't know we were going to highlight the Los Angeles Dodgers Foundation, which I absolutely love. When we've done over 50 of these Zooms for over 44 charities, mostly from our kitchen. But for those of you, some of you have been on, I saw some of the chats. We were fortunate enough to leave our house 3 times in Los Angeles. We did it at the Hollywood Bowl, we did it at the Amundsen Theater, and the coolest thing ever was doing it at an empty Dodger Stadium, especially after they won the World Series. To be able to broadcast that live, to celebrate the champion team, to have a lot of them on there. We were in the outfield, we were on the home plate, we were in the dugout, and it was incredible. Nicole Whiteman, thank you so much. Lon Rosen, everybody there. But more importantly, as you mentioned, we wound up raising $1.1 million for the Dodger Foundation in helping the LA Food Bank. Hello, Michael Flood. But we had already done quarantines earlier, raising over $500,000. So the combined effort that we've done allowed us and the LA Food Bank to serve over 4 million meals, which is incredible. So long-winded way of saying, receiving this award, for the work that we've been able to do for this incredible city that we love so much and call home, honestly is humbling, and we can't say thank you enough. Our quarantines looks easy. We have to thank everybody who supports us. It's the development staffs that work for you guys. You guys are the real heroes here. I mean, at a time where you're home and you're just trying to figure out how to raise money, you have helped us so much in doing that. Coco Weaver, who I work with, Kerry Brown, Rolling Live Studios, Mayor Garcetti, and the LA County officials for being so supportive of this little idea. The performers, supportive teams, and anyone who has said, how can I help? The money we've raised has been done dollar by dollar. No amount has been too small. When you hear and they say we've raised $23 million, it doesn't just do justice of how we got here. So thank you, Demi. And of course, thanks to my wife, Candy, and my son, Aiden, for being super supportive. I know this was long. Our Zooms go 5 to 7 hours. If you guys want to come on one, I encourage it. We have some great ones helping out Los Angeles very, very soon. The NAI for USC, we're partnering with Mark Hamill for May the 4th. We'd love to have you there. And thank you so much for this award. We're really humbled by it. I love you, Demi.
Guys. Love you too, Dad.
Thank you. Congratulations, Richard and Demi. I got to say, such a cool story. I love that you guys did this together. Being a father of 2 girls myself, I would agree. Demi, there is absolutely nothing that young women can't accomplish if they put their hearts and minds to it. My older daughter turns 13 soon, and you've just given me some inspiration and something to work towards. I don't know if we're going to get to 23 million, but we'll certainly try. I love it. Thank you and congratulations. All right. Our next category is for outstanding collaboration between a business and a nonprofit. Our finalists are Beauty Bus Foundation and Providence St. John's Health Center. A Beauty Bus professional goes room to room weekly to offer free hair, nail, and facial services to patients and their families, also offering up pop-up salons for hospital staff. How cool is that? DBS Bank, Child Care Resource Center, and A Place Called Home. These 3 organizations have worked together to donate food, money, resources, and internship programs to families in underserved areas. The LA Rams, LA Regional Food Bank, ABC7, and United Way of Greater Los Angeles. The LA Rams worked with ABC7 to sponsor a pandemic relief telethon that raised $2.3 million for the food bank and United Way at the beginning of the pandemic. Los Angeles Team Mentoring and Aerospace Corporation. Their collaborative virtual mentoring program serves our low-income and underserved communities with critical skills development. Santa Monica College Foundation and Every Table. They provided about 400 healthy meals per week to the college's new centralized food pantry where food insecure students can receive meals free of cost. And our honoree is the LA Rams, LA Regional Food Bank, ABC7, and United Way of Greater Los Angeles. We actually have representatives from each organization joining us today in the spirit of what this event is, which is honoring our nonprofit community and our great corporate citizens. We'd like to hear from each of them. Let's start with Mark Brown, anchor for ABC7 Eyewitness News. Mark, please take yourself off mute and say a few words.
Okay, I am now unmuted. You are now my hostage for the next couple of seconds. I wanted to thank everybody at the LA Business Journal for this award. This is a great honor. It's a great honor to be included among these great organizations that are all working in this same direction, trying to help people and do good. Thinking back to March of 2020, the uncertainty of that time, the idea was to do something here, but we really didn't know what the response was going to be. Will people give? Will people work together and help us? Will people contribute? I mean, this was a time when people were literally hoarding toilet paper, and you couldn't get groceries. People were worried about whether they were going to be working or not. And we were asking our audience, our viewers, to take part and do something to help their neighbors. And they did. And the reason that they did is because in spite of all that uncertainty and all that chaos, we knew that there was something that we had to do. We had to do something. And that's what we do. We always respond when there's an emergency, when there's a situation, there's a need. ABC7 certainly goes there and we do what we can. And we could count on our partners, of course, the United Way, the LA Regional Food Bank, the LA Rams. We have a long history with the Regional Food Bank of Los Angeles, going back 9 years. We, of course, have our Feed SoCal event with them every year that we are very honored to take part in. Maybe you saw us bagging groceries one year at one of these, the Feed SoCal events. We partnered with the United Way for years, the United Way Home Walk. And this was the first time that we had done any sort of community event with the LA Rams. They asked us to participate. We, of course, immediately and gladly, happily said yes. And the first big test of our relationship proved to be a very good one. And we passed, I think. We did pretty well, as you said, with how much money that we raised. And the fact that each dollar that gets donated to the LA Regional Food Bank, of course, as Michael Flood may have mentioned, gets multiplied. It goes a lot longer than, you know, somebody just buying groceries in the store and contributing. You give money to them, it goes a long way. It really can help feed a lot of people. So this was a team effort, of course, between our organizations, and also a team effort within ABC7. So we, of course, want to thank and acknowledge our President, General Manager, Cheryl Fair, our then News Director, Rob Elmore, our then assistant, now current News Director, Pam Chen, our social media team, our IT team who managed to put all this together on very short notice, producers, our writers, our editors, directors, on-air people, all working together to make this happen. The LA Rams, of course, providing players and the energy that they brought to the table. We put this whole thing together in 2 weeks' time. 2 weeks, during a time of uncertainty when people didn't know, people were starting to work from home, people who were involved in putting this together didn't know where they were going to be involved in doing this, but everybody really just buckled down and did it. And it was a source of great pride for all of us. We'd like to thank the Los Angeles Business Journal for this recognition. We know there are a lot of organizations that are deserving of recognition for their efforts. Among the ones that we just saw that were nominated, also, of course, the Los Angeles Fire Department Foundation. We're very proud to work with them every year on our Spark of Love toy drive going back some 2 decades. We are honored by this award. We are energized by this award, and we continue to look to the future. Thank you all for your recognition.
Well, thank you so much, Mark. We'd also like to hear from Captain of the Los Angeles Rams, Andrew Whitworth. Andrew?
How we doing? Thank y'all so much. I'm honored and humbled to be here to represent the Los Angeles Rams. This has been some trying times over the last year for all of us, but it's been really devastating for some. And to be a part of an organization and also to team up with ABC7, our partners in United Way and the Los Angeles Regional Food Bank, it's been an honor that we had the opportunity to raise $2.2 million to the United Way's Pandemic Relief Fund with the food bank. And my wife and I were so excited, to have the opportunity really in March. We knew that stuff had to happen quickly and people needed to mobilize and make a change and find a way that we could all help one another. And we were really excited to be a part of kicking this event off by donating 1 million meals through the food bank. And I tell you what, it's an honor for my wife and I to be a part of this, but this is something we talk to our kids about. We talk to the teammates and their wives and their significant others about, and couldn't be more proud to be a part of an organization that is also all about community need and all about being there for the people around them and doing everything they can to take the platform and the resources they have to make lives better for all those they live beside, near and far. And we just thank you so much for this recognition through the LA Business Journal. And I tell you what, it's an honor to be a Ram. It's an honor to be a part of this event. And I thank you so much for recognizing all these community leaders today, whether it be the individuals or the companies. It takes a team, just like in sports and in life. It takes a team to be successful. And we're really excited to be a part of this team today that's recognizing people that didn't just sit still, that just didn't sit by the side and watch things happen, but that took action and said they'd be there for the people around them. We thank you so much for this honor and this recognition. And thank you so much. Have a great day.
Thank you so much, Andrew. Congratulations for that. And to hop over to the nonprofit side of this collaboration, real quick, I'd like to welcome back Michael Flood, Chief Executive Officer with Ellie Regional Food Bank.
Well, thank you, Josh. And I'll just add a couple of brief comments to the comments that have already been made. First, thank you to Andrew for stepping up. He had a lot of his teammates follow him in making contributions right off the bat to the virtual telethon that got things going. And that was, again, as Mark Brown was mentioning, we didn't really know how it was going to go. And just to see that kind of support was really significant. And I do want to also thank Molly Higgins, the VP of Community Affairs and Engagement for the Rams. She was a huge mover in making this happen from the Rams standpoint and in figuring out how they could help right from the beginning. And on the ABC7 team, as Mark mentioned, Cheryl Fair, who's the president and general manager of the station, Pam Chen, he mentioned also. I also want to give a shout out to Teresa Samaniego, who's the VP of Diversity and Community Engagement for ABC7. Again, another dynamo community leader we have here in Los Angeles, who also, when the pandemic hit, asked, what can we do? What can ABC7 do? And with the whole team there, just made it happen. So thank you.
Well, thank you. And last but certainly not least, wrapping up the collaboration, welcome back Oscar Cruz, Chief Operations Officer with United Way.
Thank you, Josh, and really honor again to be part of this partnership. This is the example of how we can come together in difficult times and work together to make our communities better. I'm very proud to be part of that, and just thanks to the team and all of us that were manning the phones, and it was so inspirational hearing people call in, giving a donation of $10 because that's the only thing they had in their bank account. And you start now feeling the generosity and power and passion of people that really, for us, is how we live united. So I want to thank everybody. It's a special shout out to Tallene Kagan from United Way, who is really the point person in making all these partnerships happen. So I want to recognize that and everybody else who worked in making this a success. So thank you on behalf of United Way and the families who benefited from that. I just want to say thank you for the honor.
Wonderful. Congratulations to you guys on this amazing award. All right, we're moving to our second to last award for today. It's Nonprofit of the Year. And the finalists are 100 Black Men of Los Angeles. Their mission is to improve the quality of life for African Americans and other minorities through the enhancement of educational and economic opportunities. The Children's Collective. They are improving academic, social, and economic outcomes for low-income minority youth through comprehensive, high-quality services. Human IT. They provide technology to veterans, persons with disabilities, homeless shelters, LGBTQ+ community centers, and other certified nonprofits. Mental Health America of Los Angeles. Last year, they served almost 11,000 individuals with mental health needs, helped 545 individuals secure employment, and over 3,500 people to obtain housing. The National Health Foundation. They are dedicated to improve the health of under-resourced communities by assisting residents in tackling the social determinants of health that act as systematic barriers to wellness. And the honoree is the National Health Foundation. And with us today is their president and CEO, Kelly Bruno. Kelly?
Thank you very, very much. We are so honored and humbled by the Los Angeles Business Journal's nomination and award of Nonprofit of the Year. We'd also like to thank Councilmember Gil Cedillo for his nomination. As Renata, as you mentioned, National Health Foundation's mission is to improve the health of under-resourced communities. We believe that all individuals, regardless of who they are or where they live, deserve an equal opportunity to be healthy. If this pandemic has shown us anything, it's shown us how that is absolutely not the case for our under-resourced communities, particularly our brown and Black communities, as they are disproportionately affected. We've had the privilege over the last 50 years to provide services, recuperative care services to folks experiencing homelessness, exiting hospitals, food distribution services and sign-up services for our under-resourced communities. And we feel honored to be able to have done that for the last 50 years. Yeah. When we found out,
that's one other thing on that deal that closed with.
I'm so sorry. When we found out that we'd received this award, my first thought was, oh my goodness, why us? There's so many other amazing organizations, and we certainly it takes a village to be able to do this work. And then I saw the list of all of the individuals and the organizations that were nominated, and I thought to myself, and there is our village right here in writing. So I definitely want to thank all of those others that were nominated and recognize that it definitely does take a village and the partnerships that exist between so many of us, and really just congratulate us as a nonprofit field for making a difference in Los Angeles. Thank you very much for the award.
Congratulations, Kelly. Thanks for being here today. Okay, so we are down to our final award of the program. It's for Organization Business Angel of the Year. Our finalists are Farmers and Merchants Bank of Long Beach. They committed $20,000 in grants through their micro and small business grant program, supporting local businesses adversely impacted by COVID-19, amongst other things. Google. One example of their impact this year was a $2 million national grant with $250,000 going directly to 250 teachers serving 11,500 students in Los Angeles. Greenberg Glusker. The firm donated a total of $250,000 towards food insecurity, homelessness, social injustice, and PPE supplies in Los Angeles. Ralph's and Food for Less. Their Zero Hunger campaign has provided nearly 100,000 nutritious meals to our community in the last 2 years. ZipRecruiter. They have supported LA's best after-school enrichment program to provide free, safe programs for children at 200 elementary schools within underserved neighborhoods. And our final honoree of the day today is Google. Rebecca Prosen, head of the West Coast region, Government Affairs and Public Policy for Google, is with us today. Rebecca.
Thank you so much, Josh. I'm so honored to be with all the people and the nonprofits and the other corporations that are doing such incredible work in Los Angeles. Thank you, everyone, for all you're doing. Google's been active in the community and a helpful neighbor in Los Angeles for over a decade. From matching employee donations in the community to directly giving over $18 million to Los Angeles nonprofits and community organizations since 2009, to helping solve problems in the community, we give back to the neighborhoods where we all live and work. Everyone's been saying how difficult this past year has been, and over the course, we've been grateful to be in a position to support many incredible entities doing amazing work, like Brilliant Corners, telehealth initiatives, the Mayor's Fund for Los Angeles to help with small businesses and economic vitality during the pandemic's early days, Give Directly for cash payments to families in need, and as Josh mentioned, Donors Choose for teachers to help keep kids learning during such a difficult time. Through my day job, I had the opportunity to meet with Capri Maddox before she took the role as director of the Los Angeles Civil and Human Rights Department. And she had approached me for support for community outreach to help the critical work of the department. It was a no-brainer. And given what happened yesterday, it's even crystallized even more. Thank you, Capri, for nominating us. Thank you, Los Angeles Business Journal, for this prestigious award. I always say, keep asking because you never know when you're going to get a yes. And let's all keep doing the great work that makes Los Angeles the amazing city it is. Thank you again so much.
Thank you, Rebecca. Thank you to Google for all that you're doing in the community. You know, Rebecca, I think you're absolutely right. You know, for those of us who have spent any time trying to raise money for nonprofits, we know that you can never ask too many times. You never know when that yes is coming. You never know what passion aligns with somebody else's. And so it's really important to just keep asking, keep finding great people to work with. I want to thank just all of the amazing businesses and nonprofits and leaders that were a part of today's virtual event. So much respect goes out to each and every one of you. You know, as I said earlier on, we had over 300 nominations for this event. There was not a single one that was not deserving of getting an award today because of the amazing work that's being done. So thank you all. Congratulations. I want to thank all of our sponsors for helping us put this together. I also want to remind you that Monday's print and digital versions of the LA Business Journal are going to be highlighting this event with all of our finalists and winners being published within. So please take a look at it. Additionally, if there's somebody you'd love to send a recorded version of this program to, it's going to be available on our site at labusinessjournal.com within the next couple of days. So you'll be able to share that and send it to other people that you think could get value from it. Thank you all. We look forward to hosting this event, hopefully in person next year, so that we can spread the joy, spread the word, and spread everyone's passions. Thank you for allowing us to share your stories today. Until we see you next year, stay safe, be healthy. Thank you.